This video is the second video in our processing widget series. In this video, we're going to talk about processing options. We're going to explore the actual processing options, and we're going to explore how you set up default processing options so your users don't have to understand the complexities of the actual processing options. In the processing options section, we're going to go over the FTK options. We'll do this in a very cursory way. If you need more information on those options, you should really consult the FTK documentation, take one of the many classes that's offered, but in any event, it will not be addressed in this video. Instead, we're going to focus a little bit more on the Quincy options, the processing options, as well as the post-processing options. So let's get to that. All right, we're here in Quincy. We're going to open up our processing data widget again. We've explored, if you will, how to create a case and add evidence in the previous video. Right now, we're focused just on the processing options. You can see I already have two default processing options set up, so I could select these if I wanted to. I could also go ahead and click Customize, which is what I'm going to do here. And that will open up, if you will, a clean slate of processing options where nothing's selected. If, however, I already had something, I wanted to work on FTK, and let's say the FTK processing options, and I wanted to say, let's modify those, I can now simply click Customize Options, and it will preload those in, and I can work around them, if you will, meaning I can change the ones I don't want and add ones I do want. In any event, let's talk about, again, the FTK processing options. Everything outside of this section, these Quincy processing options, is an FTK processing option. You should see that within the FTK interface if you go to Process Evidence. In addition, these four boxes here all also show up in FTK, and each of them have similar content. So if I go click on Evidence Refinement, this should look a lot like the same screen in FTK. Now, sometimes there are slight differences due to versioning, but in general, the options should be very, very similar. Let's talk, though, about the Quincy processing options. Right now, there are these 7 options. There more will come. These processing options actually occur after the FTK processing has completed. So if you have yourself an email alert from FTK set up, that will trigger and say, hey, I'm done. We're done processing. But you won't actually truly be done if you've selected some of these options. These options will occur, like I said, after the completion of the FTK processing options. And these have email alerts of their own, and we'll show that in the third video, which is the other features of the processing widget. But let's go through these 7. Web viewing. Web viewing is extremely important. There is a blog I wrote on web viewing that take you through the intricacies of how the Quincy web viewer works. We also have QView at this point, which is really a phenomenal viewing option. But let's talk about this. This stuff pertains directly to the Quincy web viewer, not to QView. QView does not need any of this stuff because it deals with native data, not PDFs. So what does this do? We are preparing the documents for web viewing. We have 2 sections here, first page images and full documents. First page images is a very fast processing option. It will generate an image for the first page of every document. The reason that is important is because the way the Quincy web viewer works, it will first pull in this first page image because it can get it very quickly. It can provide almost an instantaneous viewing perception on the part of the client. but it's only pulling in, again, that first page image. If you want to offer the user the ability to see the entire document, you have to choose these processing options. Now, the reason to choose these first page over these is the following. One, this happens very quickly. Two, almost 90+% of your documents can be evaluated through their first page. Email is generally only one page. Most people aren't going to read several pages deep into a Word document. They really just want to see the nature of the Word document, see if it's relevant to their examination. Images are obviously all just first page. So the vast majority of your documents will be just first pages. So I generally recommend that people be a little bit more liberal, perhaps, in terms of what they select here. Maybe something like this, maybe even do spreadsheets, although the first page images of spreadsheets are relatively useless. But in any event, you can do something like this. But I'm being more liberal than I would be down here. These take much longer and can dramatically increase the speed of processing. Or excuse me, dramatically reduce the speed of processing. So I generally recommend people only do this. It is typically only Word documents that you expect to actually look at the document and read beyond the first page. And so if you do this, it won't dramatically increase the time it takes to process, but you'll get that good mix where most of the documents the user wants to see are available in full page, in full form, if you do this. Anyway, let's go ahead and close that, and so those will stay there. Parse registries. If you're interested in registry parsing and using the registry capability within Quincy, go ahead and select this. This will basically take the registry and dump it into a SQLite database that can then be queried for whatever registry operations you want to do. Compelson, if you want to process cell phone data, if there are going to be cell phone images here, we recommend you select that. You have to have a license for this to work. Image recognition is really powerful. There's going to be a lot more coming here, but again, if you want to categorize your images. Thread suppression is a very cool option for large document review. If you have email sets that contain lots of threads in them, meaning let's say you have two pieces of evidence, mine and my close friends, and we're emailing each other back and forth. You really only want to show the user the last email in that thread, in that chain, if you will. And so this will allow you to suppress all emails that aren't a final email, if you will, aren't a unique email. Email count facet. This will tell you how many threads an email is a part of. And then finally, Apple file system. If you are going to look at an image that's an Apple file system, you need to select this. Again, Apple file system is not one that's parsed by FTK. Eventually it will be. And when it is, it will be removed from a Quincy option and placed down here. So those are the various processing options. Now let's go to the tagging and export. These are the post-processing options, if you will. What this allows you to do is twofold. One is tag documents. Well, actually threefold, really. Tag documents, create tasks, and directly export documents. If you don't even want to review, if you know, hey, I want all the Word documents and I don't even need to see them to know that, you can do that here. So let's go ahead and create some options here. We add a row. We can enter a search term by typing anything. We could search the word Tim. Or let's go ahead and add another row. We could also do it by document group. Let's say we want all documents to be tagged a certain way, or maybe directly exported. This would be a great way to do that. This is the search term. This is the tag it will be assigned. So now all documents will have the label Frank assigned to them, and all documents that contain the search term Tim will have the tag Bob attached to them. Now, if we want to, in turn, create tasks that get assigned to our users so they know, hey, I have to go review these documents, we can do that. We can assign all documents that have the word Tim to Tim, and we can say the due date for that task is going to be the 20th. And this will not only do the labeling job, but it will create a task. Here, we're labeling all the documents, but we don't really want to make them a task. We want to just directly export those. We can go ahead and do that, but you see, look, it immediately gave me an error. It won't let me go ahead and click export. And why is that? Because I've given it no export directory. We would need to go ahead and choose the place we want the export to go to. I send all my exports to my export directory. Now we can go ahead and do this, and it will work. We could also import terms, and you can see the format of the import. It is it's the same, frankly, as the auto tagging. So if you use that widget, you know how to do it. It's the search term first, the tag name, colon separate these, the user, colon the date, and then colon whether it's exported, and exported it is a true false value. So if we wanted to, let's say, search on the word bill, we wanted to give it the tag, we'll just call it tag1 because I completely lack imagination. We want to assign it to the Tim user. We're not going to bother giving it a date, but we want it to be exported. We can go ahead and do that. And then we just import the terms. And there we go. That's exactly what we had selected. Bill, tag1 to the Tim user, no date, and export it. So that's how you do the post-processing options. And now let's go. I want to show you finally how you set up default processing options. So we're going to go in here to our configure, and we're going to come all the way to processing. And we can go ahead and select options. And we're just going to do a simple one. We just want MD5 hash just for the sake of example, but you can select anything you want. And we're going to go ahead and call this hash, and we're going to save that. Now there is a hash processing option that will appear in the processing widget. If we go back to the processing widget, instead of just having FTK standard, we'll also have hash. But let me draw your attention to one additional thing you can do here. You can assign this processing role directly to a case if you want. So if I go ahead and select on that, and I say, okay, no, only investigators should have access to this processing option. And then I go ahead and save that. Oh, excuse me, wrong thing. I save it here. I apologize for that mistake. It's going to go ahead and make it now so you can see that now when I select on hash, only people with this role, and that's the investigator role in my installation, will have access to the hash processing options. I can also assign them by case. This probably has relatively minimal application. I think mostly it will just be done via role, but you can go ahead and assign it by case, so only certain cases have access to the hash processing option as well. Anyway, that concludes, if you will, the processing options section of the processing widget series. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, post them. But that's all I have. Thank you very much.